All right, so as we move on with Inventor, we've talked about making parts, we've talked about making drawings, and now we're going to do an assembly where we are putting those together. So we are going to start by going to our File, New, and you want to do an assembly. So in the shop, you know, you've made 2 handles and you've had 2 16s. So when you place those items, you want to place 2 handles and you want to place 2 16s. And I just zoomed out a little so I could see more of what was going on. So there are my 2 handles, and now I need my 16. So this is one reason that it's very important that you know where you're saving your items and what you are calling them. Like right now I'm looking for my top 16, and luckily I called it top 16. So I'm going to put those 2 in. So the first time that you do assembly, it could be a little frustrating till you understand how the program works. You're going to work with what are called flushes and mates, but we're not playing poker, we're not playing a card game, we're talking about Inventor. When we flush an item, I want you to think about it being level or smooth. When we mate an item, I want you to think about that's where you're going to put a nail, a screw, glue. That's where you have some type of fastening device. That's how I want you to think about it. So we are going to be using constraints. And here's where we're going to pick if we want flush or mates or flush. So the handle is going to go in between the 16s. So I am going to mate the end grain of my handle to the inside face of my 16. And you'll hear it make a little click noise if it's accepting it, and then you need to hit apply. So I'm going to do the same thing with my other handle. Whoops, a mate. And just at a quick glance, if you look at this, you can see the tops of these items are not level. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flush the top of those. And apply them. And then if we were in the shop, I would just want to pull those out because I want it to be level across the space. So I'm going to use my flush. And I'm going to come over here so I can rotate this around. And I'm going to create another flush. And now I'm going to apply some glue to this 16. So I'm going to mate the end grain to the handle. And you have to get accustomed to rotating because I need to be to the inside of that board. And of course, I need, what application do I want to use, a flush or a mate to level it on top? Good. All right, so I'm going to use one more. What do I want to do? Flush. All right, now it's super important. We could go ahead and talk about our flushes and mates in our browser bar over here, but we're not going to. If you feel that you have everything assembled, I want you to click on every piece and move it. This is super important because if you only have 2 constraints on it, you can move the pieces. And if you can move the pieces when you go to the next application after you have your second rail and your bottom rail put together and you try to put it all together and these pieces start to come unglued, just think if you were working in the shop and you had everything done and you're ready to put your top on, but they all come unglued. Although we're using nails, but they all come apart. It's not going to work well. So you don't want this to come apart either. That's what we're going to be working with. You're using constraints with flushes and mates.